Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night as the forces of the Censored extend their never-fall streak to 5, moving them into a tie for 4th place on the all-time never-fall list. Too full of energy, the champs had no time for comment last night, opting instead to do some road work around the forts of the surrounding regions. KOTT news crews were on the scene as the reigning monarchs of the Bluff, most wanted, responded to the champs' counter-aggressions. The conflict from earlier in the night clearly not enough for these two. We spoke with Most Wanted leadership about their strategy. General, oh! Whew.
Yes.
Tough fight out here. Are you going to be able to hold them off for tonight, or do you think they might hold the keep?
Yes, we are. We're going to hold them till maintenance, my guy.
Excellent. Well, you have to hang in there for another hour. Good luck.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Of course.
My right click is going to beat their left click. Remember that, right?
KOTT will bring you more on that story as it develops. In breaking news, the Expedition Grouping System has been deployed through the Azov net this morning, giving citizens better tools to fight the corruption. An inclusive array of role selection, voice comms, level, and gear score ranges help ensure you enjoy a more efficient expedition. Turning to the weather, and this morning we'll see the sun fly across the Eternum sky as it normally does, before a 20% chance of invasion tonight will arise exclusively within Syndicate territories. Yet another submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Tonight, the Covenant forces of Barely Livin' assault the Marauders of Benched Healers Union for control of the northernmost region of Morningdale. It's been barely a week since the forces of Barely Livin' were barely friends with the Syndicate. In hindsight, their conversion to the Spark was barely hidden. The Benched Healers Union of Morningdale sit prepared to defend themselves from the Barely Zealots. But surely they won't field 50 healers and just stand on the flag out healing DPS. Or can they? Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night as the forces of Benched Healers Union retained control of the northernmost region of Morningdale. KOTT news crews caught up with Union leaders on the steps of City Hall. Congratulations on your victory out there tonight. How do you feel it went out there, and would you like to take us through it?
I feel like it was a pretty hard-fought victory. I was actually surprised at the force that they brought with us. I definitely was thinking that they were going to be a lot weaker, but their musket squad seemed to actually be a bit of a nuisance out there. I feel though they didn't have a lot of pressure on the points, but yeah, it was definitely a hard-fought victory. A lot of good brawls happened.
Anyone whose efforts out there you might like to highlight?
I think I definitely like to shout out Octaves for the great shot calling like always, and my bruiser, Def Not 604. You can see him in the background. He got a 20-man grav on the B respawn, so I would like to shout them out.
That's a pretty huge grav. In related news, there will be a one-on-one PvP tournament held next weekend, hosted by Hammer of Dawn. Event organizers, about 31 birds, requests that interested parties respondez s'il vous plaît using the link in the description. A significant prize pool is available for participants to win, so check it out if you're looking to test your mettle. An unusual weather phenomenon today, but it's not the sun rising and setting as it always does. Rather, it's the 2 early evening invasions to look out for during drive time. Then, another pop-up of corruption late. 2 submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. First up, the Syndicate forces of Adra's Little Pog Champs assault the Covenant forces of Most Wanted for Crown and Kingdom of the Western Monarch's Bluff. There appears to be at least twins in Eternum, and this one is Adra with an R, and their crew of Pog Champs are bringing their best slammers to the fight. Most Wanted forces have been fending off Syndicate forces for 3 straight days. And though sheer numbers work in open world, with a roster of 50, they might right-click your left-click. Then, the Syndicate forces of Rogue Reavers attack the Covenant forces of Trap Chat for control of the bear-infested deep forests of Brightwood. The once unpolished passion of Rogue Reavers has been sharpened to a fine point as they've grown in number and purpose. Tonight, they march into Brightwood to execute their right of first purchase by factional association. As for the forces of Trap Chat, they've held the hamlet since exercising their right of first response during the mega storm last month, and in accordance, have not aggressed the neighboring regions. In other words, they've taken the stance of, don't start nothing, won't be nothing. We'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night as both great houses hold court and retain control of their respective regions. KOTT news crews were able to catch up with Trap Chat leadership after their fight in Brightwood. Congratulations on your victory. How do you feel it went out there tonight?
Well, it all started with a little 25 versus 25 action. And then we were tired of playing ping pong, so we just decided to give up the B point and just fight it on the C point. It was a good time.
Anybody out there whose efforts you'd like to highlight?
Honestly, we had a couple green homies that pulled through. Like Queen is 5-stack, some of the U-Up boys in here. It's nice seeing similar faces from different servers just pull through and help us defend.
Is there anything else you might like to tell the citizens of Eternum while you have this forum?
Yellow is kind of down bad right now, but slowly but surely we're getting stronger, and who knows, we might go for the capital pretty soon.
In related news, there will be a one-on-one PvP tournament held next weekend, hosted by Hammer of Dawn. Event organizers, about 31 birds, requests that interested parties respondez, s'il vous plaît, using the link in the description. A significant prize pool is available for participants to win, so check it out if you're looking to test your mettle. Turning to the weather, and it looks like the sun will increase its streak of flying across the sky by yet another day. But look out after sunset as the corrupted forces of the island lay siege to 20% of the island's east coast. No submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight. Brought to you by Peace. But we'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night, as you might expect, during an evening of peace. KOTT news crews spent the evening trying out the new stage and lighting setup at KOTT Studios. More on that story as it develops. Well, will you look at who's up and about once again, cruising across the Eternum sky. But what's this? Magnetic confluences give rise to corruption invasion later at the tips. Another submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Tonight, the Syndicate forces of Dancing Phoenix assault the Covenant forces of Most Wanted for control of the primary oil reserves of Weaver's Fen. Former Great House Dancing Phoenix forces slog into the peat moss fields of the Fen, seeking to secure someplace they can call home. For the reigning barons of the Fen, they have expanded their empire and still seek more. They'll need to hold the oil fields to finance their campaign. We'll have the outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night, as the forces of Most Wanted wanted it most, right-clicking their way to victory in the peat moss oil fields of the Fen. KOTT news crews were busy with renowned weaponsmith Kalthus Adarai, who was showing us the ways of crafting a weapon with purpose. Using the crafting bench I had been infusing with Azoth while preparing Quintessence, he fashioned me a truly distinguished weapon. We contemplated the likelihood anyone could craft as fine a weapon as this, and came to the same conclusion. This baby is one of a kind-ish. Turning to the weather, and having won the Fire Staff lottery, I feel like playing the odds that the sun will rise and fall before a southern typhoon will break land on the southeastern edge of the island, bringing a 30% chance of invasion with it. 3 submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPCO. Remember, if it isn't LARPCO, it's cardboard. First up, the Syndicate forces of Band of Brothers, LLC, assault the Covenant forces of Most Wanted, LLC, for crowning kingdom of the Western Monarch's Bluff. The newcomers of Band of Brothers Limited Liability Company attempt a hostile takeover of the hamlet on the hill. For Most Wanted forces, fighting on back-to-back nights may have them tired, or maybe they have just enough energy to right-click. Then, the Syndicate forces of Hammer of Dawn shake down the Marauders of Nirvana for control of the financial capital of Windsward. Hammer of Dawn forces get themselves warmed up for the upcoming Tournament of Summer Days by getting a feel for the PvP skills of others on the island. It has been over a week since the new Sheriffs of Windsward secured the vault of the island's financial reserves. By now, they'll be well funded for a fight. In the nightcap, the Syndicate forces of Adra's Little Pogchamps assail the Covenant forces of Tropical X for control of the master fishing port town of Reekwater. Adra's forces strike for the second time, seeking to claim a region and go into the history books as a great house of the island. But the forces of Tropical X always show up in numbers when the hamlet is at risk. They'll be giving their all to stay in the swamp. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reaction from the citizens at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the forces of Band of Brothers successfully seize the crown and take control of the kingdom of the Western Monarch's Bluff. KOTT news crews were on the scene with Syndicate leadership after the fight. Congratulations on your victory out here tonight. How do you feel it went out there? Care to take us through it?
Oh, it was a great fight and went according to plan. Big thank you to the guys at Bench Healers Union. We showed up in force, we hit B with the 50-man, and then we go ahead and rolled onto A point. Then we hit the doors and got in, and the war was over in 8 minutes.
Egads, classic divide and conquer. Well, now that you are the crowned kings of the Monarch's Bluff, what are your intentions for the hamlet?
The first intention is we're sending 6 off for the proper party. It's 6's last day, so big shout out to 6.
Alright, shout out to 6.
Yeah. Oh, one more thing, John. One more thing. Something really important. The big difference out there in that fight, we had LARPCO, and it looked like they had cardboard.
In Windsward, KOTT News crews caught up with Nirvana leadership, who were unable to attend the defense due to a sensitive health matter.
Congratulations on your victory out there tonight, my friend, holding the vault here in Windsward. How do you feel it went?
I wasn't there tonight. I came down with the chicken pox. It was nasty. I got bumps all over, to be honest. I've been scratching my butt for a minute now. But, I have my good shot caller. It's me, Zuma, here to back us up. And, he led us to the win regardless. So I heard it went well. So I'm happy.
In related news, there will be a one-on-one PvP tournament held this weekend, hosted by Hammer of Dawn. Event organizers, about 31 birds, requests that interested parties respondez s'il vous plaît using the link in the description. A significant prize pool is available for participants to win, so check it out if you're looking to test your mettle. Turning to the weather, and after another consecutive day of the sun streaking across the sky, be mindful of a late matinee invasion in Ebonscale, followed by a mid-evening outbreak in Weaver's Fen. Yet another submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember,
If it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard.
tonight, the Syndicate forces of Rogue Reavers assault the Covenant forces of Trapchat for control of the bear-infested deep forests of Brightwood. Rogue Reavers' forces return to the woods after taking a few days to regroup and reconsider their strategy, renewed in their effort to re-secure the region. For the forces of Trapchat, their continued efforts to rebuild the church after the megastorm has the citizens enthusiastic about them staying in charge and finishing the job. We'll have the outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night, as the forces of Trapchat fend off the would-be park rangers and retain control of the forests of Brightwood. KOTT news crews were in the field during the event and ran into an aspiring Covenant member who requested a test of their mettle. After giving him the old AD shimmy, he took cover behind a tree, but I closed the distance in the blind spot and gave him a good needling. Leave your comments below with the number of hits you think we each had on the other as we prepared for the upcoming tournament of the summer days. In related news, there will be a one-on-one PvP tournament held this weekend, hosted by Hammer of Dawn. Event organizers, about 31 birds, requests that interested parties respondez s'il vous plaît using the link in the description. A significant prize pool is available for participants to win, so check it out if you're looking to test your mettle. KOTT News Crews would like to inform its subscribers of a special drop package available to Prime users, so get your gear and emote today. Turning to the weather, and after a beautiful day of sunshine and rainbows all day long, look out after sunset as the corruption forces come out for a 30% chance of invasion later in the evening. Yet another submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Tonight, the Covenant forces of Hideout challenge the champs of the Censored for their heavyweight title and the right to rule over Everfall. Hailing from parts unknown and weighing in at 50 ready, willing, and able bodies, this scrappy contender brings an unknown pedigree to the championship bout. For the champs, a win tonight would give them 6 straight and move them into sole possession of 4th place on the all-time Neverfall list, within striking distance of 3rd, currently held jointly by Hooded X Outcasts and Elysian at 10. We'll have the outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News.